Hey, welcome back to another episode of What Elon Said. Today is Friday, February 25th, 2022. And there's a number of things Elon said today. Let's jump right in. First, he responded to a post about the Elden Ring, which is a video game system, a video game that came out today. He gave a laugh about this comment over here that that he's not finding the Elden Ring anywhere. So it's a joke about the game. I don't know the game too well. It just came out. I wonder if Elon got in there really, but it's interesting. He's commenting already on this. He loves video games. We'll move on from that initial comment. So this is the other day Elon posted about pi and tau. That tau is a better circumference. Very math-oriented joke or term that people wanted to see. Someone commented showing that we want these with Tesla underwear, not underwear, diapers, which was pretty funny. Human waste containment garments. And Elon responded saying, "Me too." So he must have gone back to his comments, his post, and look at the comments. So it's pretty funny. He's just having fun there. And today he's had a bigger response over here to the engagement over Ukraine and how people communicate. The first response post initially was from Moxie Marlin Spike saying that Telegram is the most popular messenger in Ukraine, but most people believe that it's an encryption app. So this is really a discussion about what is the best encryption app. That's what it led to. Moxie said that Signal is different and a much better device or messaging app overall. From this, that's where Elon jumped in. He felt that Signal is the least insecure messaging service. So he's really just saying that it is more secure than the others, but it's definitely an app that is airtight secure versus the Russians somehow hacking or listening in or intercepting your messages. So he would say that if anything, he would use that for his personal use in the US, where he doesn't have to worry about being bugged as much or monitored, although he is a high-profile person. He says he just uses iMessage and Signal overall for his apps. So that's interesting to see what Elon uses, and that he does believe that for more important messages, he does use Signal. So that gives a hint that it's useful. By the way, today I'm going solo. Kevin is traveling, so he'll be back in a day or two. So it might be a little faster. I'm just going through the news and the key things that we see here just to keep you informed. Next, Gali posted about upstarts. So starts, like we should, like a statement in support of startups, that we should root for startups that are changing the world, like we root for sports teams. I love that comment because a lot of the times I think about us following Tesla and SpaceX is our sports team in a sense, that we root for them. They're the underdogs, not necessarily them, they have been, but there's many other startups out there that are fighting against larger establishments and financing and many odds. So one person commented saying Iron Man, and you were in it, saying that Elon was the Iron Man was the startup and also ran Stark Industries, which was bigger. But Elon responded that protagonists created over half a century ago don't count. So the real heroes today, he said, are the entrepreneurs and tech enterprises that are taking a root, and that we shouldn't follow fictitious characters as our idols. That's my take on it. I could be wrong, but it's interesting how he said that. Moving on, Elon responded to Whole Mars blog about a comment about Lidar. And he always has a strong opinion about this, feeling that Lidar is inferior for roads. Here he says, that Lidar is the seductive local maximum, and that when they used it for SpaceX because it was very localized and it was great for docking and the most cost effective there. There's nothing moving really in space around them once it's up close, so it makes perfect sense. However, for roads, they did realize that biological neural nets and eyes are much better, and that Lidar was not best for that circumstance. So that's why real world AI, as he said, takes eyes or photons in the end, and not a Lidar system, or not two systems. He preferred to have one system, and that one system he feels is cameras over Lidar. Here is a funny comment from James Stevenson, trying to emphasize what has been said before about Tesla is really the only one that's making having earnings on anything that's out there right now for an AV vehicle. So if you could consider Tesla's fully autonomous with the FSD out there, they are selling them. And in fact, they're selling the full self-driving kit for $10,000. So they are actually making quite a bit of money on their vehicles and the software. Meanwhile, all other AV companies relying on Lidar for their autonomous vehicles are losing money. Google is losing money. Everyone else is losing money. Tesla is really the only one that's earning a substantial amount of money on the system. So Elon thought this was funny, but it's actually very true. Oh, and actually, sorry, I missed what Hallmark's catalog initially said, and that's really, I reiterated that before about they're saying they're amazed that people are losing money on Lidar, but they support them. So that's all we had for tweets today. It was a very quick take. I'm actually going to go straight into the likes today rather than having it be a separate episode of what Elon likes. We're just going to combine them since I'm solo. I just wanted to go through a number of the interesting ones here. We're going to go from the top down today since it's been a while and they're usually one-off comments rather than the layered ones for the retweets. So here's a quote. Actually, I haven't seen these first two yet. It is that someone said, if you see a pallet of cash, $60 million falling from space, would you try to catch it? This is out of context because this is a while ago. I don't know what he's responding to, so I'm actually going to pass by this one for today. I'm sorry I didn't have time to look into this. There, he liked that Shibatoshi Nakamoto is saying that we should not look into not have a global crisis every 5 minutes. So he's actually frustrated about there's always a crisis mode around the world. I think it's hard to interpret that since he didn't provide a comment. Next, we have Marge. She quoted Elon here that I love this quote, that if you go back a few hundred years, what we take for granted today would seem like magic. Being able to talk to people over long distances, to transmit images, flying, accessing vast amounts of data. And when I saw this initially, I did think of the Arthur C. Clarke quote that any sufficiently advanced technology would be seen to those that haven't experienced it as magic. And that is something that has been demonstrated in Star Trek episodes in the past, way back when. But also, it is true that any society that doesn't have a comprehension of what the technology is would view it as magic in front of them. An iPhone would be magic, of course. Anything we have today, they wouldn't understand the basis of it. This had a lot of discussion underneath about how electricity was the catalyst for the modern age. Until we had an understanding of electricity, that's when everything took off substantially. And some people pondered, well, what if we had an understanding earlier? What if the Romans looked into that a little more? Where would we be today? We'd be 1,000 or 2,000 years ahead of ourselves instead of just 150 years into the electrical age. Next, we have Swift on security that is talking more about Signal. This is a continuation on the discussion earlier where the Elon and Moxie were talking about Signal, and Elon liked this, that Signal is very highly regarded. And he was saying that the weakest part of the Signal system is the people on either side of the conversation, not the application itself, which makes sense. Human failure is usually the culprit. Here's a great shot of the shortfall of gravitas returning, and that was, I didn't realize that was the first time that platform, the drone ship, captured that. Now, when I was seeing this, I was wondering, I didn't realize that it came back with the booster straight up. So I guess it is locked into place once it's there. And also, I know it's a drone ship. So I'm not aware if this drone ship comes back on its own or a crew goes out there and pilots it back from its location, although it stays out there on its own. So I'd be interested to know what happens there. Here's more Moxie about Signal, and that was specs that Elon liked. So he was saying that it was just more supportive of what they had before of how secure or insecure Moxie is. So Gail Alfar in Austin had a post about batteries, so that in Alaska, there is a area, the Kenai Peninsula, that's moving off of gas turbines, and amazingly, they're switching over to a new all-electric system. Homer Electric installed 37 Tesla megapacks that can provide stability and also be able to function properly up to 30 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, which is pretty amazing. So that is another plus. More and more, I mean, there's no stopping it. More and more of these will be rolled out across the world. Electrical grids will be distributed, reliance on pipelines and fossil fuel will be reduced over time, and probably pretty fast. And situations like we're having right now, actually in Ukraine, will disappear, where the countries that we will be able to choose where we will have the electricity and be independent, rather than being reliant on regimes that we're not supportive of, or not supportive of human rights. The two biggest producers in the world are Russia for oil and Saudi Arabia, and they are both pretty brutal regimes that we would prefer to not rely on anymore. And their heyday is probably at the height right now. It's going to go away over time. So next we have Tasmanian. Sorry, this is a little post that Elon liked about how Starlink provided Tonga with the internet. They were cut off after the large tsunami and volcano occurred last month. They were literally cut off from the world, being so remote. And Starlink, luckily, is in place already and is just coming live. So they were able to provide them with 50 Starlinks so that they can antennas, so that they have access to the world. It's pretty incredible that no one really can be cut off now. No matter where you are, no matter how remote, you will have access to the high-speed access to the rest of the world. Here's a post from Gab Cornwell about an oil rigger that SpaceX purchased, and they are moving it, which is amazing that this can move around. Apparently, this can move around on its own, but it's usually tugged. But if needed, it has its own power to actually move the transport. It's being retrofitted. My understanding is to be a at-sea landing and launch pad for SpaceX Heavy, which is pretty amazing. I don't have the full details on that, and some of you probably know better than I do at this point, but I believe that that is the direction they're moving, so that SpaceX Heavy can be launched both at sea and on land. But at a minimum, it would be a landing pad for the SpaceX Heavy's booster. Gal Alfar in Austin, a lot of Austin people. We have a nice overview of the patent that was provided for the Tesla's shell, how it's strong safety compared to anything else. And it's amazing that we're going to have a vehicle that is not only very, very safe, and it just won a couple of awards for safety overall. That's very safe from its outer shell in case you have a crash, but also from its autonomous underbelly that will enable you to avoid crashes. So this would make a Tesla the safest vehicle in the world, and by a large margin. And it's another reason for people to purchase it, not only for its performance, its cool factor, its technology, but also for its safety level, which every family and person would want to have. Tim Urban, a frequent favorite from Elon, he's done a number of interviews with him, says, I keep thinking about this today, and this is related to Ukraine and Russia, that the merry-go-round of human societies, good times, everyone's happy, foolish people come in making bad decisions and ruin the fun, bad times, and then wise people have to clean up the mess and put up a new structure that should last for a while normally. My own personal caveat to this is that the bad times make foolish people wise in the sense that people only really, humanity and people really only learn from their mistakes, and the mistakes is what makes them wise in the end. So that's my take on what this might have meant in general, not just that there are foolish people before and the wise people need to clean up. They could be one and the same. And then in the end, we have that's how society improves and then destroys back and forth with a yin and yang. This is a cool video. Got a couple of these the last couple of days about how Model X is just destroying other cars in performance. Here's the Porsche 992. That one is an SUV, and the other one is just being zipped on. So it's just amazing the how it does. Now I don't know, and if anyone knows the performance that the Model X Plaid has over there, how long of a duration can it go at that level? Can it keep going until the battery starts to weaken, or is it only for a short time that it could do that takeoff level? This is a person who works at Tasmanian and says that Eva Fox U is located in the Ukraine and is in the middle of this. So it's Eva Fox. We're thinking of you definitely, and Elon gave a thumbs up in support of her. It's unfortunate what everyone's going through. Here we have Marin Carnett responding to Sawyer Merritt from the posts yesterday about market shorting. What Elon said about that, the market is in a sense rigged with big shorters using algorithms to jump in, and also creating a lot of, in a sense, fake news to increase the level of panic, like sort of people buying the news, and then or selling the news, I should say, and then they make a fortune off of the short. So now the Justice Department is jumping in, and they're going to investigate this. Elon feels that this really should be corrected with new rules, but he has criticized the SEC on this as well, saying that the SEC, that was their job. They should have been investigating this and doing something about this long ago before the Justice Department had to get involved. It's always better to have a regulatory agency make moves. Well, actually, ideally, it's better if the industry itself makes the self-regulating rules first, then the regulatory body from the government. The last thing you want to have is when the Justice Department has to come in and rule on something. So Elon's placing a lot of blame on the SEC. Here is Sandy Monroe. He does a lot of deep dives on the technology within cars, and he literally rips them apart. He's an engineer that's been at a lot of the big automakers in the past, knows his stuff, does this for a living now, just ripping up cars, and he's just blown away by the Tesla's motor. Tesla Plaid motor, he said, is unlike anything he's ever seen. It's definitely worth looking at this video. He goes into detail of what he saw layer by layer there that was very unusual. He's just every time he speaks, he's just blown away by Tesla. Here's a continuation from before that. Tesla Model 3 and Y have ranked by the IIHS as the Insurance Institute for something, I'm not sure, as a top pick for 2022 for safety. So it's always good news. More Sandy. Elon keeps liking this. He loves what he respects Sandy, and he likes what he says about his stuff. Here, Elon, do a little plug. I guess you consider this Elon marketing. That there is a campus recruitment effort going on in China for Tesla in China right now for, I guess, their Gigafactory, and also just in general for their company. So if you're in China, jump on over and apply if you're qualified for Tesla. And here's a couple of posts that are going on and on about the short selling. Elon has had strong feelings about this lately. He has an all-on push about how the Justice Department's jumping in. So I think we talked about this earlier. I'm not going to continue, but he keeps on liking. And I think we're going to finish this one here for today. A fun one, how Massimo posted something that Elon liked. Didn't know this, but it is theoretically possible to launch a paper plane from the International Space Station to Earth without the planes burning up on re-entry. An experiment was scheduled in 2009 to prove it, but unfortunately canceled. How hard can it be to do this experiment? Why would they need to cancel the experiment? I don't understand that. If they knew the parameters, they would just need the plane and then release it from the space station. I don't really get it. But either way, it's an interesting fact to know that everything won't necessarily burn up or bounce off the Earth upon re-entry at the right angle, I guess the right velocity. It can come in. So interesting fact today. And we're going to stop there. Try to make it quick. Ran through a lot on my own. Definitely not as fun without Kevin here, but I hope you got something out of it. And we will be back tomorrow for more of what Elon said. Have a good day.